Nobody knows. But the only time we hear about pedophiles is when they're being let out of their home in handcuffs with hundreds of images on their computer and Lord knows how many.
That's wrong, though, because that's the only time you hear about child molesters. And one of the big problems we have is that the word child molester and pedophile have become synonymous. Now, research has shown us that the majority of child molesters are not actually pedophiles. They're what they call, in the parlance, situational offenders. People who would normally be heterosexual, attracted to adults, but for whatever reason unable to find a sexual partner, lack of social skills, lowered inhibitions due to drug abuse, and an availability of children, have acted upon a sexual urge with a child. And those are not pedophiles. Those people are not primarily attracted to children. But unfortunately, society sees them as pedophiles, and therefore we're all sullied as a result.
So what's your goal beyond protecting the civil rights of pedophiles? I mean, what, in your wildest dreams, what would you like to see happen?
The ultimate goal is that consensual relationships between adults and young people will be both accepted by society and legal.
And what would that allow you to do?
That would allow me to express my love for children in every way.
Would you want to pursue a relationship with a child?
Absolutely.
And what would that relationship look like?
I would say that it would start as a friendship. It would be a relationship like any other love relationship, where you're sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, sharing experiences, and the physical part of the relationship being only one expression of love that one has for another.
You would want to have a sexual relationship with a child?
An intimate relationship, yes.
What's the difference between intimate and sexual?
Well, I don't like to say sexual because people automatically jump to sexual intercourse, and that is not my goal. So
it sounds like we're getting the Bill Clinton's definition of what sex is.
Well, no, because I mean, the thing is, I've already said, look, I'm not advocating sexual intercourse with prepubescent children at all, and so I want to make a clear distinction that I don't want to have sexual intercourse with young children. I want an intimate relationship that is physical, but not involving sexual intercourse.
Are you having sex with children?
No.
Have you ever had sex with a child?
No.
Have you ever had an intimate relationship with a child?
No.
So you've had this bottled up in you for 37 years now?
Well, I wouldn't say it's been bottled up the entire time. I mean, when I started to realize this attraction was around the time of my own puberty, so 20-some-odd years.
Have people ever said to you that you've just never matured, you've never grown up, that you're stuck in you're in the body of a 37-year-old, but you still have the mentality of a 12-year-old, where you're just attracted to the 7 to 12-year-old girls?
Nobody who has known me personally has ever said that. I get a lot of emails to that effect.
You get emails to the effect of
that I've arrested development. I get death threats by email. I get people saying, wouldn't you please do us all a favor and commit suicide?
So people tell you that you're sick, twisted, demented.
Absolutely.
For having these beliefs.
And I get fundamentalists saying, that I'm going to burn in hell. They're going to pray for me, and whatnot. I get a lot of very abusive emails.
Onto the website, and what people in Kansas City, which would be the reason why I'm here, you have featured on the missing children part of your website 2 very prominent cases from Kansas City, and the parents, these parents are furious that someone who looks at children as sexual objects is having any involvement whatsoever with their children, because their children were most likely kidnapped by somebody who's using them as a sexual object. How do you respond to these parents who say they want their daughter's pictures off your website, and they think you're despicable?
I'd be quite clear about it. For the amount of reports made about my missing children's website and the amount of parents who've been talked about, not a single one has ever contacted me and asked me to remove their children from my site. Now, there have been parents who have contacted me and said, please take my child off your site, and I've done so. I find it puzzling that you're telling me that these parents are furious, that they're upset, that they're angry, but they have ample opportunity by looking at the website to contact me. and not one of them has done so.
Well, next time I speak with them, I'll let them know that you need to be contacted for that to happen.
Very well.
Why are there only little girls on your website? The Porter case is enormous in Kansas City. You have Lindsay Porter on there, but you don't have her brother. They're missing together.
He is mentioned, though, isn't he?
He is mentioned, but his photo's not on there.
His photo's not on there. Well, the website
That's
is...
baffling to the family.
The website is focused on girls, and that's the way it was when I started it, and that's the way it is. Now, there's so many missing persons cases in the world. If I were to expand my brief, I would never stop working. If I were to include, missing adults and missing boys and missing whatever, I'd be working around the clock. My website is a one-man operation, unlike many other websites where they have teams of people who are working on these cases around the clock. It's just me, and especially when I'm on the road like now, I have very little time to work on it. So I'm trying to keep my brief as narrow as possible, and that's why I have not chosen to include missing boys or missing adults or whatever. I have made a few exceptions when I have been asked specifically by the families to do so, but generally speaking, I'm not going to do that.
These families say they feel like they've been preyed on once by whoever kidnapped their children, and they've been preyed on again by you for linking their child to your beliefs, which they think are despicable.
I don't think there's a link between my beliefs and that website. It is not linking back to the main parts of my website. And I point out that I don't understand what it is that they think that my grief or my outrage at these events is any less valid than anybody else's. I am not a perpetrator. I am not a child molester or a child abuser. Yes, I do have these attractions, but that does not mean that my concern for children is any less valid than any other person's.
Well, they think you're sick, and they want nothing to do with somebody who they think is sick.
Well, they think I'm sick, but I don't think that they have really taken the time to investigate who I really am. They have not looked at the research. They have not looked at anything that regarding what a pedophile actually is. They're assuming that because I call myself a pedophile that I am a child molester, and that's why they think I'm sick.
Well, they think you're sick because you look at children as...